Time I have tonight, I want to share with you the story of one person that I met on the trip. After a day of travelling, I arrived in Moldova to a rather dark and cold evening. My first visit was to a gentleman named Alan. I was told that he was in his mid-60s, he lived on his own, having lived with his mother who had sadly recently passed away, and he loved playing chess. When I initially arrived, the first sense that struck me was the overwhelming and almost indescribable smell. The smell was predominantly of dust and damp, and it was an unbearable smell just for the short time I was there, let alone for him living in this flat. I call it a flat, but really it was a cramped room. It was tiny and terribly dilapidated. Part of the ceiling was falling down, windows were cracked, there was an electric radiator in one corner of the room, but that was switched off, so this rather crammed room was cold. There was a small stove for cooking in one corner, and in the other corner, a bed. The room for us was lit by one bulb, although to save costs, Alan mentioned he usually lights his flat with a single candle. There was no apparent bathroom. I was told later that was outside. I have no idea how Alan could live his life with his mother in this one room. And I looked around this room and saw what must have been Alan and his mother's lifetime belongings of old photos, collections and clothes, neatly arranged on a small shelf on this wall. Alan now lives there on his own. It seemed to me in isolation with very limited access to the outside world, particularly as he had been unwell following a serious heart condition. I asked Alan what WJR meant to him. He replied with one word: everything. Alan explained that after his heart attack, it was thanks to the charity that he received necessary medical attention that helped save his life. He now receives weekly medicine, which is orchestrated by the charity that helps keep him alive today. The electrical radiator that I mentioned before, he sometimes uses when it gets well below freezing. Again, that was provided by the charity, and some work is now being done to his flat through the home repair programme. On my journey back to the hotel, I felt such emotion that I could barely speak. Alan seemed like such a gentle, kind individual, and I began to imagine in a different life him living near me in Pinner, or how he could be going out for lunch with my dad in Stanmore. In reflection, looking back even today, I think what really shook me was someone so similar to me or my family or my friends, living just a few hours away on a short flight, but existing in such a difficult and harsh world. At the very end of my trip, I went to a community centre which is run by the charity.